Second effort. June 24th. Poor Dan Quayle got into the worst thing it could have happened to anyone, especially me. I am the world's worst speller. The teacher handed him a cue card with potato written on it, and then Dan asked the little kid to spell potato. Dan tried to make the child put an E on the end as his misspelled card had it. The press and all the comedians had a field day with this. My heart ached for him. My heart should have ached for the teacher who made the mistake. But it was Dan who got the blame, and for days this very important mishap wiped out other unimportant news, like the signing of the weapons treaties with Yeltsin. My second day at the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, there was some sort of event. A focus group, they said. It was only my second day there. I hadn't been there very long. But they were asking for people that were there to participate in the focus group. There were two young women, African American. One had long braids, very slender, beautiful, well manicured. Their clothing was perfect. It looked like it had been ironed. And they came in, and they came into the room. And I came into the room, and this was the first time I met. There were three other women besides me. It was the first time I met them. One of them was an African American woman, maybe around my age. She also had braids. There was a Hispanic or Latina woman, probably around my age, maybe a little younger, and she was there. And then there was another woman who was lighter skinned, probably identified as white, who was there in the room with us. And so we were in the room, and apparently there was enough of us for this focus group. And something happened to me. I tapped into this higher feminine that I wasn't really used to. I don't have many encounters with her, but I saw her for the first time in Chicago. See, I was at another shelter in Chicago. At that time, there was a meeting at the University of Chicago. My understanding of what was reported at the time is that the President of the United States had come to Chicago for a special meeting in order to discuss potential candidates to replace the, at that point, departed Justice of the Supreme Court, Antonin Scalia. And that day, I had a very intense visualization. They told me they were changing my Jupiter. I'm like, what? They reconfigured my Jupiter. All of a sudden, my Jupiter was a woman, a senior woman with gray hair. And the understanding was that she was childless herself. She didn't have any of her own children. She was rich. And she liked to share her wealth with other people's children. But she wasn't married. And she didn't have any children of her own. She was a very wealthy spinster who was very generous. And I saw them. I saw this. I heard them discuss. They're changing my Jupiter. The understanding was that I was going to be wealthy soon, but I wasn't going to be allowed to have my own family. I wasn't going to be allowed to have my own children, and I was supposed to specifically be without a life partner. The reasons for that came up later. But while I'm there having this, at first I was horrified. I said, I know that's not my Jupiter. That's not who I am. My elder me is different, actually, than what you're recomporting right here. But nonetheless, things happen, and then all of a sudden, I'm in Pasadena, Texas, and I'm in this focus group. And somehow I was connected to that female consciousness. And let me tell you, she is a stellar person. She understands how it's supposed to work. She understands exactly what she's looking for, and she knows exactly who the people she's connected to see things and prioritize things and what they want and what they expect and what they're willing to give. And I sat there across from one woman and to the side of one woman. The other woman did not talk very much. Unfortunately, I cannot say much about what otherwise could have happened in terms of a relationship with her. But those two women in front of me, I was incredibly impressed. Right there in a very short amount of time. They knew exactly what needed to be done based on their own experience, but also not just their experience as people that had been in a domestic violence shelter. These are women that had their own ideas of what they wanted to do with their family and what they wanted to do with their communities and what they were capable of. And even through the ordeals they had been involved with and they had suffered, they had actual practical problem solving, actual strategic long term understandings. They're reading what's being presented as the survey, and their critiques are not superficial. They're substantive. They were very, very deep. They're talking about what's actually relevant to people that have had these experiences. They're talking about the ambiguities. They're talking about the real substance of what those two young women with their college degrees who were getting paid to provide that focus group and who told us we could be anonymous while they were going to put their names on whatever the results were. We're sitting there, oh, thank you. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And it's their lives. It was their lives. It was their power. Both of those women got screwed. Within 2 weeks, one of them was kicked out because somebody set her up for a drug deal. And when she said no, they played the race card. She was out. The other woman had her ankle broken. She had to be booted. And by the time I got kidnapped, they told her that she didn't qualify for housing outside of the area she had come from. So her and her two boys were going to have to return to the same neighborhood they had come from. I think that they didn't like what she did with the boot. It didn't matter how competent she was. It didn't matter how powerful she was. They didn't want her powerful. They did not want her to have a concept of being independent and being a leader. They didn't see her as a leader. I don't know what they saw her as, but let me tell you what I saw them as. Not them. They were frauds that stole those women's identities and stole those women's lives, and all we were was statistics that they put in a report that they put their name on, and then they turned it in to whoever the funders were. And the funders were supposed to say they did a good job, and based on the way that they compiled statistical data, we're going to do what? Because if you're a funder, you're going to be thinking about the long-term implications. How many women make it through all 3 months? How many women return after a year with their own business? How many women 3 years later have a mortgage? How many women 5 years later don't have their children on drugs and chronically involved with a medical symptomatology? I didn't know I was connected to somebody in Barbara Bush's network until she was murdered. I don't know how it was that at some point, while I was in Chicago at a domestic violence shelter, I got connected to some sort of duplicate recharacterization of elements of Barbara Bush's life. I didn't know that until I was at a Salvation Army while she was being processed. I heard her funeral. You know that? I heard Barbara Bush's funeral. You guys are not doing anything fucking close to what you're supposed to be doing, and you haven't for a long time. Now, I am not somebody that's acknowledged as being that kind of female. I'm not acknowledged as being that kind of woman, and I'm not acknowledged as being that kind of matriarch. But let me tell you, if it was my money, and it was my family's money, and I knew that you did that to those women, I don't want somebody that looks all cute and manicured and says, oh, that's very interesting. As soon as I hear you say interesting, I'm going to be looking for who in your background lets you get away with stealing something from somebody else to say you have qualifications you don't have. Those women I throw down with. Those women I have fired and arrested